What's up guys, it's Drac, and this is a box. This is actually a really long box. What could be inside? Well, we have a hint on this side. It has a sticker that says Larp box. Now, I'm like vaguely familiar with Larp box. As a company, it's essentially like any sort of box subscription, so like a loot crate or whatever, but not monthly, so they can focus on quality instead of just shoving ridiculous merch at you and then specifically catered to the LARP demographic. Now, I've done a little bit of LARPing, and some people consider nerfing to be LARPing. I think of nerfing more as like a sport, but that is something that I'm familiar with and have looked into, and then this should be their item on Kickstarter right now. So I'm just pretty thrilled to see how many nerfy Kickstarters are out there right now. But this one is already funded, which does not mean that you should not check it out. Like, it is very, very cool. Here we have what appears to be some sort of ramrod. Some very exciting brown paper. What appears to be, I don't know, I'll let you guys guess what that is. I mean, I think it's pretty clearly a bayonet. So we have this, and then is there something else? Something else is in here that's heavy. And this. Alright, so very excited to start taking these out of their paper wrappings and getting at it. I'll let you guys guess what's in here because I feel like this is probably, oh yeah, a pistol for the discerning Nerf gentleman. So we've got a pretty self-explanatory like spring-style catch in here. This trigger is going to pull this release, and it seems like as opposed to being a plunger, this is just a spring-powered pusher of sorts. So that's probably pretty clearly what this bait and tackle in here is for. So this is what appears to be a gentleman's dueling pistol, and I think that it's very exciting. So this explains how the other thing works. We'll get to that in a moment, dear viewer, but I'm pretty sure, like, assuming I'm not dumb, we're gonna, well, dumb number one, we're gonna prime this by pushing this back far enough that it catches. Right now these guys are watching this video thinking like, how is he this dumb? The answer is, I don't know. Alright, there we go. So this is just a simple retention mechanism. You push that all the way back in, and then that's going to hold. Then I think you can kind of load this. I would not recommend loading them at the same time like that. This goes pseudo in front of that catch mechanism, and then we're going to fire this way, but I believe that we're supposed to fire like so. It's a stiff trigger pull. So, I mean, it shoots pretty soft. Like, we'll take it outside and show you a full field test of it, but it's also pretty wacky, pretty wild. Whoa! So, that is the gentleman's dueling pistol. Now, here we have some actual instructions for what I can only assume. I'm going to take this to Atomic. They're going to be like, what the heck is going on? And I'm going to be like, what, we're not nerfing like it's 1776? Like, it's what all the cool kids are doing now. I love this. I also love that in LARPs, projectiles tend to be overpowered. I love using a ranged bow in LARPs, but when I do that, I'm either significantly overpowered by virtue of mechanics, or I'm significantly, by virtue of like physics, having a ranged weapon, or I'm significantly underpowered because of game mechanics where like arrows and armor and all have you and that sort of thing. But this is, so far, the performance of that pistol is very fair. I feel like it would not overpower melee users. This is too cool. And like, we should really comment on how these are made of wood. Like, these are very handsome. It's just finished wood, and then a big PVC tube for the plunger, and then this is, of course, just for aesthetics. This is like a rubber flintlocky bit on the side, but like, oh, this is so neat. Okay, so same sort of catch mechanism on the musket. Let's see, I think it might even be the same exactly. Load, ball, and dart. Okay, so first you are to with buttstock on ground, using the ramrod, push spring head down past sear. And it doesn't say that you should be using the trigger to engage that, so I'm just going to try doing it without. It's much easier if you depress that trigger, but now I've got it behind the sear, and then it says load ball and dot. I have one here somewhere, and then you just kind of tamp that. So the loading process is very 1776. Alright, so, ooh, there's a ball chamber. That's hilarious. So you kind of slip that in, and that explains this. So they're not firing properly because I wasn't doing it properly at first. But this area here is a ball chamber. It holds the rifle round, and then this catch behind that holds the spring. And that's all pretty evident looking at this thing in the Larp Musket guide. And then it says, never aim at someone's face, never shoot someone less than 12 inches away. Those sound like some very good Larp rules that Nerfers don't follow because Nerfers wear eye protection. But, alright, you guys aren't even going to be able to see it, so I'm going to point it at you. Speaking of, hope your cell phone or television or TV or computer screen is not 12 inches away from your face, boys. Alright, we gotta take them outside. They're super cool. I'll fix bayonets. Oh yeah. Alrighty guys, so measuring in at possibly 5.5 feet tall, this thing is ridiculously huge. It is well constructed, it is comfortable. I'm going to assume that all of the ergonomics are period accurate, like the trigger is a little far forward, the rifle is a little too long, the unnecessary barrel length is 100% to be period accurate, whereas the trigger just connects all the way up to a very similar mechanism as the pistol, and then I've gone ahead and thrown the bayonet on it for giggles. Let's hope that we have a little bit more than period accuracy out of it, but we are shooting round balls out of non-rifled barrels, so I think that that's about as close to black powder as we could get. I want to go immediately Civil War with this. I'm not sure where these would have come from, but let's fire. You ready? How close to the enemy should we be to see the whites of their eyes, or the reds of their cups, or the solo? Alright. So that was not bad. Now let's, starting from rest, here we go. We're gonna do a timed tactical reload. It's gotta go on the ground. That's gotta go all the way in like that. Gotta find our thing. Luckily we don't have any wadding to mess with. Then we gotta get this all the way down in there. And we really want to make sure that we seat it properly. And now it's fully seated. We've gone ahead and replaced our rod, and we are ready and aimed and hi-ya. So ranges of about 20 feet. I feel like that reload time is certainly the great equalizer in Larp for projectiles, at least. Like that is tamped. It's interesting. Like I feel like if you're really passionate about this kind of play, you will come up with some sort of mechanism similar to the wads of the time that'll make it easier to reload quickly instead of having to do two operations, something that seats the ball and depresses the plunger all at once. Anyway, let's move on to our next target, and then we'll move on to our next rifle. Or pistol. Alrighty, so we're going to get a fair distance away. We are now about 20 feet from our target, and we're going to fire and see what happens. And we missed, so it's time. Alright, hence the bayonet charge, friends, but would not be complete if we didn't talk about this. Now this is obviously like my preference. I just stared down the barrel of what could very easily be. Luckily they added some tape here. I think that this is a little bit tacky, that the catch mechanism is this black rubber band, and I am going to call them out on that. Like there has to be a more elegant solution than putting a black rubber band around the barrel to act as your catch mechanism, but I get it, it's cheap, it's efficient, this is a Kickstarter. I might even have a prototype, which I am very grateful for the opportunity to share this with my viewers. So, a traditional dueling gentleman would do something along this line, and then I don't think that we can hit the cups from here. It's an elevated shot. And Alexander Hamilton, we are not. So we'll try this over here. Something about nobility and honor. Realistically, I want to shoot people who owe me money on the front lawn. Let's go. So not delivering ridiculous, obnoxious amounts of power, but at least it's a little quicker to reload because you don't have to juggle with it as much on account of it being so much smaller. So that's seated. There we are. All right, hiya! Man. It seems fair. I understand that you want the disadvantage for Larp, but I can't help but wonder, like, what if you could take just a rapid strike to a Larp that allowed this and be like, yeah, this is my Nerf blaster. Obviously the handicap is the intention, but, and I mean, perhaps it's period accurate. Like, this is tedious, and that tedium is something that LARPers are really into. So, there we go. We finally downed our opponent, who undoubtedly hit us with a broadsword 3 times while we were reloading. But that's cool. That's part of the excitement. So, we've got that down. Again, this is not using a plunger. Hopefully you guys can kind of tell looking at the underside there that it's a spring-powered pusher mechanism. I think that if your fingers are long enough, you can actually just get the ball seated at least with up. I almost got my finger stuck in the pistol. So one last target will come over here. But discerning equipment for the nerfing gentleman. I think that this is really cool. I'm glad that it exists. It is on Kickstarter right now. So if you are interested in your own set of dueling pistols, you can check them out. Link will be in the description box below. Much love, Nerf on, Drac out.